Hi, it's me, Indie Rose, and welcome to the Let Me Stop With You podcast. This is for you today to kind of allow me to make amends for the brain dump that I left everyone with yesterday. I had just a little bit of an epiphany watching the video of Frank's phone, and I just wanted to ask the question if anybody else had seen anything or had any questions. That I am a very new and a very small account, so it was just to put it out there, just say, listen guys, has anybody else seen anything? Do you raise the similar or the same questions? So as I say, I'm very new to this. I would like to walk you through where I find the anomalies. This isn't the ideal setup, of course, but I'm not really versed in being able to do screen to screen just yet. Look, let's just see where we go. So for the first off, this has been slowed down 0.1 and then 0.1 again. So it will move particularly slow, but I'm going to kind of take us through to the points of the video that I'd like to discuss. So a little bit of movement there from Frank. This, is one of the things that has highlighted the anomalies within this video. And as you can see here, that at 1:16, so this has been taken to 8 minutes 25, I believe, but at 1:16 on this, you'll see that there is a flash and then a black mark just there then at 1:17. Frank has just begun his kind of touching the hat and touching the face. We all kind of can agree that those kind of movements have been highly unusual. This is obviously open to interpretation. I see this as buildings with the way that, I'm going to just call it a drone, this is coming up out of the ground. For me then, it moves along to here, which to me looks like a steeple or a spire with mountains in the background, trees. So it's gone up just a little bit higher. I noticed that there are two of these buildings on campus. There's also the Greek Temple as well. So there are those. As this begins to rise up, then as this begins to progress, for me it begins to look like the sports grounds that they have on site, that this looks like one of the areas on one of the pitches close by, moving into, again, very similar area just here, and again the outline of the surround on one of the grounds, move into the outline and the surround of one of the other grounds that they have there for athletics, with the mountains in the background. Again, this is just what I'm seeing. This is open to your interpretation. Then as we begin to progress, I feel that this then begins to move across the pitches, the areas, and begins to move towards the water that is found outside of the campus before you begin to go into where Charlie was talking. So this would be one of those areas. I have had a look at different photographs as well, and it does have this change of colour where it gets shallow. Moving in, you'll see more of the shape come in. Boop. Hang on a sec. Running amok on me. So yeah, so here then, in one of the corners as well, if you look at the water areas with the fountains, the one corner does actually have this little kick into it, this little split. So I'd be interested to see if anybody else has noticed this, or what is this actually for you? What do you see it as? It goes across the tops of the water. Then we find that it meets with the white UVU truck that is parked on the corner. You can see that it goes past the very front of this and begins to move down the kind of like the passage, the open, I don't know, the parking area maybe. So then for me, this is the first buggy that we come to, and as the view looks backwards, you can see the truck just here. We've got the grey material that covers this buggy. There's the seat, and you can see through the buggy. I want to call it like a golf buggy, as we've got in over here. The transportation of individuals, shall we say. Here's the headrest. You can see through to the side, and this gets a little bit more obvious for me anyway when it continues down, and you can see the covers, the headrest, the shadow of the buggy frame. Again, open to interpretation, of course, and for anybody to kind of say, listen, kiddo, you lost your shit, and I'd be like, yeah, that kind of went years ago. Yeah, so continuing down on this, you can see the canopy, the canvas just there, and as we begin to move, anyway, it looks like whatever it is that's moving through the air turns to the right hand side, to the black vehicle that is directly opposite these golf buggies. I'm sticking with it, I've started, so I'll finish. And what you'll see there for myself is an individual, a lady, shall we say, it looks female to me, brown hair, in the black car, looking down. I hope I'm not offending anybody. I mean, it is what it is. You can see that you look through the window and you can see the other side where you have the embankment. As you move towards the back of the vehicle, then for me, there's someone else with, I feel this is like a face mask and a hat. Again, there's the windows of the upstairs of the overpass. Let me know what you think about that. Continues going down, moves through. And then what happens for me here is that I don't really know. It goes a little bit dark for a sec as the whatever it is moving through the air. And I think that it lands in the kind of the flap of the banner that goes around the top of the tent. And I tell you for why. That here is, for me, it's like an eye hole in the white lettering on the darker background. It moves down a wee ways, and that you can see it takes shape, a form of a letter. The breakage there, just kind of like where the fabric has got a little bit weak over time. This kind of, I think it might be a little bit of a struggle for wherever it is gone into this place, because it goes back up to the circle, which I think is like an eye hole. There's some screw or some kind of securing things just here. Yeah, so that's kind of like where it looks like for me, pour moi. So as I'm gonna call it a fucking drone, I don't care. As the drone comes back down, you'll see that it goes kind of underneath and comes out. And here is Charlie. Until it comes aligned with the front of the desk. So here you can see some files, some hats. If I just take that back just a sec, you'll see that there's this extension across the front here of the rest of the table over to the other side of the area that he is sat in. So I'd say more just above Charlie's upper back. So if we just zoom it out. So this area on the phone, I believe, is the hats, and then the folks in the crowd just there, that is showing on the front of the phone onto the footage here. So where is aligned there, you got the people in the crowd, table, la-da-da. So then as this little drone begins to continue its journey across the front of the table, just press play, it begins to rotate at the same time. We encounter, so there's the files, we encounter the young lady who's on the camera. Files again, hats. This becomes a bit of a MAGA hat. And then as we come around the corner, we can see individuals. You can see the back wall with the two cameras. Again, that earlier I said that with the little fisheye thing that it suddenly begins to do. I don't know what that's about. But then you get the side of the tent. You can see just down the side there of the tent into the open underpass. And this, for me, is the person in the cream top and the cream hat who is in charge of, I think he put the microphone onto Charlie's t-shirt. So he's there. Then this drone then makes its way directly from the corner by Charlie's head, and it'll go straight to the back wall where we have Dan with his hands ready. Then this little guy then this drone is going to go up into the eaves of the tent. So it gets like particularly close to Dan first off, and then it goes up into the eaves of the tent, and here it begins to video his shadow. Now bearing in mind, in real time, this is like lickety split quick. It is so fast. And I have had the question of how do you explain the arm in the camera, in the footage. Well, it is something that will blow your mind. I will have to put it on at the end because I'm quite conscious that the piece that I did put in, I didn't slow it down, so it goes too quick. But as you can see, Dan's arm comes out, but it doesn't register on this. Not immediately, not straight away, not even at the arm's length. And what happens, I believe, is that the drone comes down and captures the turn of the arm itself, and it actually captures, it is captured on the phone. It's a little bit like, I don't know, nuttiness, but it seems to have caught itself on the camera while filming, or is on the camera. I don't know, that works in my mind. But yeah, that's so as you can see then, the arm then seemingly goes back into place. I will put at the end of this the slowed down footage that I have that could support the drone theory, because there is a drone that comes down. It looks like one of those little drones that comes down and gets all kinds of involved with this particular part and disappears back up to the eaves of the tent and carries on filming Dan and his shadow. So his arm goes back in. That's the video footage that I'm going to put up later. It is way too fast. Yeah, so it's up in the eaves now. It's still filming down to the side. Filming Dan, bringing his arm back in. Remember, this is like super duper quick in real time. It comes back down. It goes towards Dan. And then if you notice then, things begin to escalate pretty quickly. This is after the last question. And at this point here, there's already been the flash. So with recording, bearing in mind this is someone's phone recording a phone, there is something called T-latency, and there is always the delay with what's on the screen as to what's taking place in real life. So there's going to be an even greater distance between the occurrence, the event, and the actual display on the screen. So by this time, this is probably about, in real time, a split second slower, but on here it's going to feel like an hour. But by this point, this little whatever it is taken its leave. It's already come around towards the front. The next steps on this are quite, what's the word? It feels like it's out of sync, but when you put it in the terms of the T-latency of the delay, it really does make sense. So just to say that on here in a moment, you're going to see a sequence of lights and events, but by this time, the drone would have been off and out. And I firmly believe that there is, oh my goodness, there is footage that was coming out that someone was saying that is the bullet going towards Charlie. I've had this kind of little theory that I thought is bonkers anyway, but I'm putting it out there now, that it was actually the drone going away, and that video actually supports the nippiness and the disappearance of the drone as well, which I'll put up again anyway. So bearing in mind now the sequence of events, this drone has already left the scene. Yeah, so this has already happened. This drone has already gone around to the front. There's been a flash, which you'll see just here in a moment, which I believe comes next to Hunter. And then there's 3 dots, 3 little lights that comes onto the screen, and they're just there. And then there's the young lady in a red t-shirt, just here. So there's a little bit of a blend, and then there's a tyre of a car, because this drone has left the building. It's already gone out and down the pathway.